John, never take another job like this.
I've been a video editor for years now. I've been making videos for over 15 years. In that time, I've taken some bizarre requests from people. Like I've made fight scenes out of stock footage, I've sent people to heaven, I've solved cheating investigations, and transcribed police body cam footage for court cases. 2 of these videos my attorney told me I should never do again. I'm going to show you all 9 of these, and then you tell me in the comments which ones you think were the legally sketchy ones. So here's number 9. This was a client wanted to showcase 40 years of artwork by an art professor at a university. And it was done by committee, and it was done by interviewing former students. And this is also a professor who had taught other teachers how to teach. He created a ton of his own sculptures. He'd done these larger than life, wall-sized murals. It was just a lot to put together. That one was really more just about the scale of it. We spent a summer cataloging, scanning. So is that legally sketchy? No. Let's move on to the next one. Number 8 was the client wanted to do a Sesame Street style baby commercial, and they were going to use it as a work in progress so that they could submit and try to turn this into a TV show. Did they cross any lines in terms of copyright? Nothing like that. So let's move on to number 7.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Okay, number 7 was a lot of fun. The client was a photographer in Texas who was working for a couple that was about to get married, doing their wedding photography and a wedding video. So they had the foresight to do a When Harry Met Sally scene. If you remember the scenes in When Harry Met Sally, not the deli scene.
Yes! Yes!
I'll have what she's having.
The scenes where the couples that have been married for 50 or 60 years are answering questions about how they stayed together, and then they're kind of juxtaposed against what's going on with this younger couple in the actual stories.
I was sitting with my friend Arthur Kornblum in a restaurant. It was a Horn-and-Dahlet cafeteria. And this beautiful girl walked in, and I turned to Arthur, and I said, Arthur, you see that girl? I'm going to marry her. And it's over 50 years later, and we are still married.
It's parody, it's fair use, no legally sketchy issues on this one either.
Because this was our first time meeting in person, it was like our first date. I was so nervous, and I remember exactly what I was wearing too. I was like, I'm gonna look so cute in this, but I'm so nervous to meet him and like go on this date. And so we met halfway.
Decided to meet up at a halfway
at Grapevine Mills Mall in front of the Frog at Rainforest Cafe. I think they moved it.
Introduction point.
Here I was too. I shut up. I was so cute, and here he was in like a t-shirt and basketball shorts. I'm just such a nerd, but I was just like...
Probably more likely than anything, they would look back and laugh at the answers they gave when they were in their 20s compared to what they learned once they really got married, had kids, family, and decades had passed. So this was a fun one though. Next one is I created a heaven scene for a memorial. This one was for Ruth. There wasn't a whole lot of direction other than God, country, and family. And after finishing with a lot of photos and covering those concepts as best I could, I discussed with the husband that maybe we could create a scene that showed her entering heaven. And so with some compositing and some lights and some stock footage and some music that we knew was important to her, we were able to create this childlike moment where it gives you that feeling of what we think that Ruth would have imagined entering heaven was like. So that was an interesting one. That was an emotional one. I remember when I played that one for my family, they cried, and they didn't know Ruth. So it was that was a unique request for sure. Next one, I made a fight scene from stock footage. Now this was for an interesting character. Brother Bob needed a fight scene. He had been in Vietnam. He had had this whole long life story that he wanted to tell. And he'd been a Marine, homeless. He started some charities, he's been an author, a speaker, and so on. But for this particular story that he was telling, I needed to get the actual fighting going on. And, you know, Bob is late 70s, early 80s now, so he wasn't going to be doing it. And I didn't have the budget for actors or stunts. So we made the entire thing from stock footage, cut it together to look like, you know, what he remembered. He'd been in Vietnam, and
Came back from Vietnam.
it was an interesting story.
I picked up a bar that I used to do pull-ups on in the door frame, and I pointed out to two sailors and said, you two are no longer wanted here.
It looked good enough. Brother Bob was thrilled. He loved it. I don't get that request very often. Make a fight scene for me. For this next one, we took the viewers back in time. The client wanted to put some footage together that showed how a great-grandfather had been in the Civil War. So this was back 160 years ago. 160 years ago. So we were able to assemble all of that and travel back in time. So
I can't hear you. I said I do.
and I don't think I've gotten this one since either. This was a couple of years ago, was what I would refer to as audio lip sync repair job. So we had to repair the audio that had gotten ruined by the wind, and we re-recorded the renewal of vows ceremony and then used the new recording with the original video. So what you'll end up seeing here is every time they said a couple words together, I would cut that slice out and then I would move that piece around and I would zoom in on the lips of the speaker until I got the piece in exactly the right place so that the new audio lined up with the original video. So bizarre request, not weird on the client's side at all, just something that they needed a lot and I was happy to do. Okay, so far nothing too crazy, right? Some weird requests, some creative problem solving, but nothing legally sketchy. Now we get to the two that my attorney told me I should never do again.
Yeah, I'm on it. Gonna flip all this siren and get over there on the double.
All right, so this one, this was a police body cam footage, and the guy had some altercation with another driver, reached into the window, grabbed the keys out of the ignition of the other driver that was arguing with him, and then threw the keys into a ditch somewhere that couldn't be found, and then took off. And so then the police pursued the guy that did it, and it was this whole thing. And I don't know exactly the details of the court case. I'll just say that this is one where my attorney said, you don't want to be subpoenaed to come appear in court and have to spend a couple days preparing and an afternoon in court answering questions about the video and testifying to its verifying, its accuracy. And all for the couple $100 that the guy paid you to, throw together these few videos real quick. So I stopped doing any police body cam footage, court trial type stuff.
I did not.
You did too.
No, I didn't.
I know you did.
Whatever.
And so then this last one is the cheating investigation. And that's the one that really made my attorney nervous. The guy had home security footage. He was convinced his wife was cheating on him. And he'd set up cameras all around the house and thought he caught some guy with his wife. So they wanted me to zoom in, figure out what was going on here. And it turned out that when I did zoom in, I found a construction logo on the back of his t-shirt. And then I asked whose construction company this was, and it turned out it was him. So the mystery guy was the husband, not some affair that his wife was having. So when I told my attorney about this one, he said, John, what if this guy comes after you? This is not really worth it. And I realized, at what point am I a video editor, not a private investigator? So, where does my job end and where does something potentially dangerous begin after that? So I got paid, the couple probably went to therapy, and I never took another job like that again. So there you go, 9 bizarre video editing jobs, and 2 that my attorney told me that I probably should never take again. So did you guess which 2? Let me know in the comments. And if you're a video editor with weird client stories, I'd be excited to hear what those are too. And if you need a video editor who's done some strange stuff, but knows where to draw the line, and obviously I've tried to protect the innocent here by showing off scenes or getting client approval on scenes where somebody's actually identified. The link to my consultation form is below, and let's talk about your project as long as it doesn't involve paranoid spouses or legally questionable stuff. I'm John with Expansive Media. Thank you for watching.